West Ham versus Chelsea, the corner flag incident, 1981. This is the story of one of the most infamous and violent football matches in English football history. West Ham versus Chelsea, 1981. A day remembered not just for the result, Chelsea losing 4-0, but for the sheer chaos in the stands, the street battles that surrounded the match, and the surreal moment when a corner flag became a weapon, flying through the air like a spear. We hear this story through three different voices. Ian, a 15-year-old Chelsea fan on his first away day. Paul, a veteran member of the feared Chelsea Headhunters. Stan, a firm member of West Ham's notorious ICF, intercity firm. Ian's story. A first away day to remember. Ian was just 15 years old when he set out with his mate from Putney to Upton Park. This was his first Chelsea away game. They took the tube, followed the crowd, and arrived outside the stadium, where they faced a decision: join the rammed Chelsea queue or blend into the home end with West Ham fans. The Chelsea end looked dangerously packed, so they gambled and queued with the West Ham crowd. Inside the ground, tension crackled in the air. The two boys tried to get into the Chelsea end, showing off their yellow and green away scarves. A police officer, hesitant at first, eventually opened the gate and let them through. They were relieved, briefly. It didn't take long to spot trouble. Ian noticed men around them in green flying jackets, some with tiny West Ham badges sewn into the lining. That was the first warning sign. They moved higher up the terrace, trying to find safety. Then the madness started. A black West Ham fan in a green jacket leapt over the wall onto the pitch, rallying others to follow. A brawl broke out at the bottom corner between rival fans in green jackets, West Ham and Chelsea fighting in plain sight. Suddenly, a West Ham fan grabbed the corner flag and hurled it like a javelin into the Chelsea end. Chelsea fans threw it back. It flew between the two groups over and over until it eventually split in half. One end stuck out dangerously. Ian saw it hit a fan at one point. Blood, shouting, panic. Chelsea were being hammered both on and off the pitch. As the goals racked up, the Chelsea end thinned out. Ian, still only a teenager, was terrified. A West Ham fan was pointing at him, miming with an imaginary camera, pretending to film him. It felt like a threat. Outside, it was war. West Ham mobs in green jackets were roaming the streets. Chelsea fans were jumping on buses to escape. Some were dragged off and battered. Ian and his friend didn't stop walking until they were far away and back on the tube, lucky to be in one piece. From the Chelsea Headhunters. Paul was a proper old-school hooligan, one of the Chelsea Headhunters. He remembers the day well. Chelsea had put out the word, show up in numbers. Upton Park had always been dangerous ground, and this time they wanted to make a statement. They met at the King's Head pub. A few hundred lads, quiet and focused, made their way to the tube, trying to avoid police attention. But even before reaching the stadium, trouble was waiting. A huge West Ham mob ambushed them near the South Bank entrance. Some Chelsea lads ran. Others tried to fight. Some didn't even make it inside the stadium. Paul managed to get in. But inside, it was chaos. West Ham had already infiltrated parts of the ground, positioning themselves in the corner nearest to the Chelsea section. Around 2,000 Chelsea fans were trying to hold their ground while under constant attack. Then came that moment. A West Ham lad picked up a corner flag and chucked it into the Chelsea crowd like a spear. It was thrown back, and again, and again. Eventually, it cracked in half. At one point, it hit a West Ham fan in the shoulder. He yanked it out and chucked it back. The police tried to intervene, but were completely overwhelmed. Fights broke out across the terraces, behind the goals, even from behind the Chelsea fans who had thought that end was secure. Many never saw who hit them. By the end of the match, the Chelsea end was half empty. Not because fans gave up, but because getting out of Upton Park alive meant making tough decisions. Leaving the ground was worse than getting in. St. George's Market was a gauntlet. West Ham fans lay in wait, targeting stragglers, especially younger Chelsea lads or those not part of the firm. Paul said it was one of the first times Chelsea stood their ground properly at Upton Park, even if the odds were against them. It sent a message. Chelsea weren't afraid anymore. Stan's story, West Ham's view from the ICF. Stan, a member of West Ham's intercity firm, saw the day differently. To him, Chelsea were making a lot of noise in the weeks leading up to the game, claiming they'd bring big numbers, make a statement, take Upton Park. West Ham were ready. The first group of about 500 Chelsea fans were ambushed near the market, scattered, beaten. The rest tried to sneak through other routes, but were met by another mob waiting outside the South Bank. Some Chelsea made it inside. That's when the real action started. Stan said West Ham had deliberately placed lads in key spots, especially in the corner nearest to the Chelsea section. The goal was to trap them. Another group of West Ham came around the back, entering from other areas and pushing forward. Fights broke out inside the stadium and even spilled onto the pitch. The corner flag was picked up and thrown like a spear between groups, an iconic moment, surreal but deadly serious. When it split in half, it became a weapon with a jagged edge. The police presence was minimal and ineffective. At one point, it seemed like West Ham would completely storm the Chelsea end. The only thing stopping it was the risk of arrests, not fear. After the match, Stan said it was business as usual. West Ham ruled the streets outside. Anyone in blue was fair game. Tube stations became battlegrounds. Even kids weren't spared. To Stan, Chelsea's reputation was overblown. They like to act tough when playing small clubs, he said. But at Upton Park, they got a proper welcome. A day that went down in history. The corner flag incident of 1981 wasn't just about a game. It was a symbol of the brutal football culture of that era, when firm rivalries were settled with fists, flags, and fear. Whether you were a scared 15-year-old boy or a seasoned hooligan, Upton Park that day was no place for the faint of heart. Chelsea lost 4 in a row, but it was the violence, not the scoreline, that turned this match into legend. And the corner flag, flying like a spear across enemy lines, became the lasting image of one of football's darkest days.